Yeah, I saw. Ourselves to lunch and we'll continue eating in a few minutes. We're going to start today's April 11th and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please join? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Please join me in the four-way test of what Rotarians think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Build goodwill and better friendships. I'd like to invite Kyle McCrea for our inspiration today.
Thank you, President Ellen. For those who are able, please remain standing. President Ellen's going to share later about a member of our family that we lost during the club, but a similar individual our community lost. It's kind of the same spirit and the same personality and joy, but also the same, I think, following of the four-way test, who passed away. That's former State Representative Floyd Clark. I don't remember actually meeting Mr. Clark. I think I've known him my whole life, kind of. He and my grandfather had a special bond, having the same first name. And as Mr. Clark was getting in politics, grandpa helped him like get in office and get like his first campaign up and running. And so the two families have always been close. But I got to know him more as an adult when I returned home after college. And Mr. Clark was someone who just had a dignity and a grace. People may disagree with politics on the what and the when, but his how and his why were, I think, universally respected. He loved people. He was a lifelong educator, loved kids, loved this community, but he also loved his family. And I'm remembering a campaign from about 15 years ago. And for those of you who know 15 years ago politics and you know my personal politics, it wasn't the best campaign season. And there was what's called the coordinated campaign, where all the local campaigns get together each week and have a meeting, and Mr. Clark was the informal leader of those meetings. And he'd be sitting down and he'd have his wife Brenda on one side, but next to him was his granddaughter Haley. And Haley now is in her early 20s, and she's actually the third generation of Clarks now in public service in our community. But she was about 6 or 7 at the time. And Mr. Clark would be running the meeting, and at the same time slipping Haley some chips and cookies that he had swiped probably from my desk and my snack drawer to keep her occupied and to keep her happy. And I think that moment of just service and devotion to our community, but also service and devotion to his family, reminds me of Mr. Clark the best, and my memory of him. And so now, if you could join me in a brief moment of silence for former State Representative Floyd Clark. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. I think we missed something, and that Mr. Clark was not a member of the Flint Rotary Club. He was an excellent addition. Thank you for that. This is our list of upcoming events and the remainder of this year's programs. I just wanted to highlight again that Heather Marco, one of our newest members, is very generously hosting our social event this month, next week. And at her home in Mott Park, that's a picture of her fireplace. And again, it's the Dow, I don't know what I always Alden Dow, who is a protege of Frank Lloyd Wright, correct? And so it's a pretty amazing house. I grew up in Mott Park, and I grew up sledding down the hill and near that house. So I'm anxious to see the inside. But for anybody who can come, and feel free to bring, your partner or guest, that would be perfectly fine. Don, do we need RSVPs, or is it just open house?
It's It's our normal Thursday, but, because it's at Heather's house and food will not be available for purchase. If anyone would like to bring something to pass, people are bringing things like pita and hummus. I'm bringing a charcuterie board, wine, and wine. Bringing wine, yes.
So you have something, a drink of your favorite choice to share, so, okay, and for more information, see Dawn. We'll have it in the newsletter again for next week, but hope to see you there, so please have lunch, and we'll resume shortly. I'm very encouraged by the enthusiasm in the room today, and I feel like we have a new back table because it was very loud and I mean, that's the way it should be. So it's good to see the back table back in order. Thank you. So at our last meeting, we introduced Happy Bucks to our club and also reintroduced funds. And we did really fine. Just to let you know, $100 was raised at the last one. So, give yourselves an applause and get your wallets ready. So I thought we would ease into it, but clearly that is not really what you all want. So we will oblige. So if you do not have your Rotary pin on, and again, this does not apply to our guests, but if you don't have your Rotary pin on, please put $1 in the cup. And if you want to be proactive, make sure your cell phone is on mute, because that is a $5 fine. So beware. But I think fines could come at any point during this meeting, and I want to really just kind of move on to Happy Bucks. We had such sad news yesterday, and we will talk about them shortly, but I would like to take, or I guess give a highlight to Happy Bucks. And so if anyone has something they'd like to share, just in general, it's at least $1. You stand up, just remember to stand up and share briefly with the club. And I also would encourage you, if you have something to share about Don, to maybe think about that too. So, and you can also think about Don or any kind of happy thing and put something in the cup. You don't have to announce it. So just letting you know about that too. All right. Anybody have any happy news to share? Dan.
As of tomorrow, it will be 40 years since I officially filed my GBA at the city of Flint. For like training, so.
You must have been like 3. All right, anyone else have any happy news or a thought that they would like to share? Lynn? Lena, too. Okay, Lynn.
I just learned talking to Dan today that, the arches that you see, Grand Light and Frankenmuth, that his company is becoming known for those arches, and he's got them all in the country. And I didn't know that, and I don't think you did either.
No.
Started the Rotary month.
And Mike, that's $1 for gloating. Anyone else? Tim?
So the kits are for sale for Edible Flint's annual vegetable garden project that other members of the Rotary Club will help with on May the 17th. By the way, if you haven't signed up for that, please go to the website and put in for it. And I want to let you know that the kits are being sold at a very fast rate, and the project is going to be quite successful.
Nothing better than having your own garden. Cuts down on that grocery bill. Anybody else?
I'll give a happy buck, which is a melancholy happy buck for, I'm gonna pay a fine for Elizabeth as well. I'm a trustee of the Flint Foundation, and Raquel team, our president, announced her retirement later this year. And Raquel's been a great leader for Vermont and for the Flint community. And so while we're sad to see her leave the foundation, she and her husband get to embark on the next phase of their life. And she has a mother who is up in age, to spend time with as well. So we're happy for Raquel having a wonderful retirement and a great service to our community. Thank you for listening.
David.
Just want to say a quick word about my friend Don. Should have done it. Sorry. About 10 years ago, my son Carson was in Columbia, and he was in a difficult situation there. They were teaching English, and I told him about it. And yeah, there was never a time in all the years since that God didn't ask for Carson. Not once.
I'll say something about Don, maybe on more humorous side, but being at the front table, when he would come in, I would often say, "Nice to see you, Don," and he would appropriately say, "Better to be seen than viewed."
Yeah, that was a famous one.
I've got something else about Don. I don't know about if everybody knows about the Veterans Memorial in front of the Durand Hotel, the triangle memorial there with the eternal flame.
Yeah.
For years, somebody had been trimming and keeping that kept, bending the flowers, picking out trash, all that. Nobody knew who it was until I learned last year it was Don Lauer. This unsung hero just showing up and, servicing the vets memorial.
That's cool. We're gonna welcome our guests. Actually, we will come up, and we've got a great list today.
What?
Remind them of Stan.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm sure. So we have a lot of guests here today. Thank you for joining us. So if I read your name, please stand so that we can all see who you are and make sure that you're welcomed. So first we have Eric White and Heather Anderson from Transcendent Title. We were last week as visitors as well. I brought them. And I believe they are considering joining, so please peer pressure them. And then we have Jenny Beck, who, I'm sorry, I can't read. Jenny Beck is the guest of Bill Beck. And then we have Dylan Murray from Marathon Flint Oil, the guest of Summer Vickers. And Karen Wilkinson is the guest of Ranch. Jan Dennis is the guest of Jean Dennis. We have Kathy Gentry as the guest of Todd Fisher. And then we also have Juju Meadows. She's from EXP Realty. She is the one if I can. Yeah.
Thank you. And welcome to her. Okay, health and welfare. No.
Yes.
Oh, we're doing an induction today. Yeah. I won't cancel that fine because I didn't issue it, but I am gonna say good looking out with that. Yeah, because you never know. But you know, I have my glasses on. I don't know. All right, any health and welfare? All right. Well, I have a little bit, just a reminder that tomorrow is the funeral service for Diane Hill, Jerry Hill's wife. That is visitation at 1 o'clock, the service is at 2 o'clock, and it's at Sharp Funeral Home. No, I'm sorry. It is at Davison United Methodist Church. It's being handled by Sharp. And then I also just wanted to ask for your thoughts and encouragement and prayers for Bob Krug, Amy Krug's father. He went back into the hospital, just really struggling a lot. Just got a note from Amy today that hopefully he'll be released on Sunday, but just needs continued support. And so now I'm going to talk about our dear Don. This one's hard for me too, so I don't think there was a meeting where he didn't make a point to come up to me and give me a hug and say, is everything good? And he meant it. I mean, I like to think everybody means it when they say, how are you doing? But sometimes you just really feel that genuineness and you feel like you can tell the truth. And that was done. You could share with him. And he did remember. He always asked me how my mom was. He was there to help us through the service for my dad at the Great Lakes National Cemetery, where he has helped countless families. And he just didn't seem to forget anything about other people that was of importance. Don was a Rotarian since 2002. He was a Paul Harris Fellow +2 and a Jack Hannity Fellow. And he was just the greatest friend. And he was service above self at all times, which you all have heard from one another. As I was making some calls to particular people yesterday and hearing back from people, I just kind of started jotting down these lovely things that everyone was saying. That he was a true gentleman, a wonderful fellow, the sweetest man I ever knew. When he asked how you were, he meant it. That was echoed several times. He was loved and admired. He had his trademark handshake and thank you for all you do. He was married to Dee for 65 years, and many of us know this, but Don was a twin, and he married a twin. And the twins married each other. So Don's brother is married to Dee's twin sister. Fun fact. I was, just kind of looking for more things about Don. I actually came across, an article from the Boy Scouts when he was given an award. That was quite a while ago. But, I just wanted to share a couple things from that, Don and his wife, Dee, live in Davison, and it, shared about them having a special passion for serving and remembering military veterans. And in 1995, he established a Veterans Memorial Program at Brown Funeral Home. And he initiated a plant a tree program in collaboration with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. So I think it's very fitting that we have a tree planting project coming up at the end of this month. And I know I will be there, and it's definitely gonna be a day that I think about him. He helped veterans. He was known as the guy to talk to if somebody was a veteran, especially if someone passed away. It was interesting because Don really, I think, helped people feel good about themselves. A friend of mine who's not in Rotary had said, Don always supported me in what I was doing. And he would always make a point to tell me I was doing a good job. And, I think we often think about, oh, that person's really, they gave a great speech, or they're very impressive, or, the work they're doing in the community is helping so many people. But, actually taking that step to tell the person that is huge, and it means so much. And Don did that the best. So just think about, Reg, what would you like to share?
I'm a retired pastor. Don and I lived 3 houses from each other when we were 4 years old in Traverse City.
I didn't know that. Another fun fact. Look at that, Reg.
And we found that his life was spectacular in so many ways. I and him have seen each other in funerals and in his families, and it has just been a spectacular soul.
Thank you, Reg. I think on that note, why don't we just take a moment? Thank you for a spectacular soul. There so far has not been an obituary posted and, but there is service information for, Monday visitation is, 2 to 8 at Brown Funeral Home, and then the service will be at 11, at First Presbyterian on Tuesday. And the hour before, starting at 10, will be family visitation, so if you're able to go, that's the information we have right now. If I do see an obituary, I will send it out, to the club. Thank you. Tree planting, we have a pretty good group. If you are still interested, please go to the district site and sign up, because that will generate an email confirmation to you and any other information. We don't know what park yet we're gonna have, but, I have a meeting Monday night with Al and others where they're gonna share more details for us, so make sure that gets out to everyone. And again, we're not planting 1,000 trees, we're probably planting around 250. Other groups are doing the remainder, but the total sum will be 1,000, so, and they'll be at a Flint Park. Jim already talked about the vegetable garden kit distribution. If you can volunteer for that, again, go to our club's website, and Anne Marie has set up a sign up there. There's another opportunity at the Flint Public Library. They've actually created a food pantry in partnership with the food bank, but they are really understaffed and they could use volunteers to help sign people in and out of that. So these are the hours and the days, and again, Anne Marie set up signups on our website, so if you want to go and help with that, have a chance to do something. Okay, we're gonna get to great news of new member induction, and Nick is going to share.
Go back to Don real quick though. Every time Don said, you know, thank you for all that you do, I was always, oh, Don really knows I'm doing good stuff. How nobody else knows? And I just found out today that he said that to everybody. But promise I'm doing some good stuff. But you know, when the very cliche saying goes, when one door closes, another one opens. This is actually very appropriate because Don's service was incredible. And so with Don leaving the club, we couldn't have a better group that talks about service. So now I'm going to introduce the 3 members, because they're joining as a corporate membership to Rotary. And I'm going to pretend like you guys don't know who these people are. So I'll start with, in no particular order of importance, Joel Arnold. Joel is a proud resident of downtown. By the way, this is communities first, because I don't think I actually said that yet. Joel's a proud resident of downtown Flint. He's a practicing city planner. Joel works as the planning and advocacy manager at Communities First. He's a graduate of Michigan State University. Well done. And University of College Dublin. Joel has worked in planning and community development in communities across Michigan, as well as the city of Philadelphia. He serves as president of the board of the Friends of the Alley, Strong Towns Flint, and Abundant Housing Michigan. He's also a board member at Flint Fresh and an active parishioner at St. Paul's downtown Flint. Joel's also politically active and has worked as a volunteer and staff on several political campaigns in Flint, Genesee County to advance progressive causes. Excuse me. Joel also enjoys playing trombone. Good job, Joel. Yeah. Watching MSU football and basketball, biking on Flint's fantastic trail network. This could be my life at this point. And spending time with friends and family. He's passionate about building dense, walkable, mixed-use communities and believes that cities are our greatest invention and where people are given unique opportunities to grow and thrive. Moving on. Essence Wilson. Essence is co-founder and chief strategy officer of Communities First, which is a nonprofit focused on equitable real estate development, economic mobility, and community engagement. She has a BS in mechanical engineer and an MS in management strategy and leadership. Essence is current president of Community Economic Development Association of Michigan. Of Michigan, I did say that right. Essence Wilson's dedication to building healthy, vibrant communities has made her an invaluable asset to the nonprofit sector and Michigan communities. And last, I'll introduce you to Glenn Wilson. He's co-founder and president and CEO of Communities First, has a cross-sector background with experience in healthcare, real estate, fiscal management, business development, transportation, marketing, capital markets, and entrepreneurship. Glenn has a BA in business from Northwood University and has an MSA in leadership from Central Michigan University. He's won numerous awards, such as Notable Black Business Leaders in Michigan from Crane's Detroit Business in 2024, and 40 Under 40 from Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Nick. So we have our official induction. The ideal of Rotary is service, and our motto is service above self. The object of this club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal as a basis of worthy enterprise. In particular, we encourage and foster the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service, high ethical standards in business and professions, the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life, and the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace throughout the world. You all are now a part of this effort, Glenn, Essence, and Joel. Accordingly, as we welcome the new members to our club, it is an opportunity for all of us to remind ourselves that we are judged by the Rotary four-way test of the things that we think, say, and do. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it go goodwill and better friendships? Beneficial to all concerned. Glenn, Essence, and Joel, please remember that you have been admitted not only into the Rotary Club of Flint, but into a worldwide association. And by virtue of your membership in this club, you are welcomed into the fellowship of Rotary clubs around the world. Fellow Rotarians, please welcome our newest members. We'll get your pens, but I'll probably find you 5 more times because I'll be forgetting to give them to them. You're gonna take Okay. 50-50, I saw Ryan, there he is.
Right. Seems like they're thick today.
3rd place.
737174.
Right.
Second place. 737102. 102. Excellent. Thanks, Jerry. Right. And for first place, 737127. Anybody? Who won it? Thank you for playing.
Stick it in there. So Duncan's gonna introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Our speaker today, J.R. Kurtek, needs a little introduction. I think we all know who he is. He's presently the chief meteorologist at ABC 12. He's known as the Dean of Mid-Michigan Meteorologists, and he's worked in the area for over 25 years. Now, he has a degree, this is kind of interesting, from the University of Michigan College of Engineering and Atmospheric, Oceanic, and Space Science. So he's seen it, been educated on it all. He is married, he has 5 adult children. When I contacted JR back in February, it looked as though his job might be eliminated along with some of the other meteorologists. When he agreed to be our speaker today, I thought that the first thing we'd be doing is thanking him for his years of service and hearing from him on a lot of weather issues, climate change, and so on and so forth. However, there are discussions going on behind the scenes, and I will let him address that. And if in fact it looks like it's moving in that direction, if any of you ever want to write letters on his behalf. But again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to turn the program over to J.R. Kurtek. Let's give him a nice welcome.
I think everyone can see that we just hit play. It's gonna. I'm on TV. Well, good.
This one down at the bottom.
Here. Just trying to hit the play button, but it looks like it's, no, it's down here. Yes, no?
There we go.
There we go.
Thanks.
All right. So, in the words of Jack Nicholson from The Shining. I have stuff here, if that's what you want to look through. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. What I can say is that when I started at ABC 12 over 30 years ago, we had 131 employees. We're down to fewer than 60 now, with Matt leaving last week. We will not be replacing him. We just learned that next week we'll be starting to go with single anchor crews for all of our shows. That means Matt will be in the mornings all morning, and then 9 to 10. Dawn will be doing the noon to 1 by herself. 4 o'clock, she'll be going 4 to 5. Angie will be doing 5 to 5:30. Terry Camp will do 5:30 to 6, and then Angie will do 6 and 11. I just go to work, and if the computer lets me log in, then I figure I'm working. You may have heard that, yeah, our ownership group, Allen Media, is trying to hub the weather out of Atlanta, Georgia, through the Weather Channel. I don't know how it's going. There are some stations that have already started doing that. Some of them have started doing it partially, like just for weekends and the like. So, like I said, Kevin, Isaac, and myself, we just show up to work, and if the door card works, then we know we're in. So yes, I've been at ABC 12 now for more than 30 years. Worked with a number of great people, including one of your Rotarians, Joel Fike. And in fact, I think you were working weekends when I first started working weekends there. I remember the first day I worked, at the time, actually, I didn't even officially work for ABC 12. I worked for John McMurray, whose company was hired by ABC 12 to supply weathercasts several times a day or during the week. John did the evenings, and then one of his employees, which turned out to be me, did the weekends, and then Norma, of course, did the mornings. Yeah, the first day I got to ABC 12 to do the weekend, I came into the newsroom and sat down, and Joel looked at me and said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be doing the weather with you, you know, on the newscast." So that's how Joel and I met. So yeah, a lot has changed since that time, and things are still changing. Of course, it's not just us, it's across the whole entire linear TV world, it's called. The affiliates, ABC, CBS, NBC, all the ownership groups. I think one of the big things that happened that started to turn the tide toward a lot of this, well, I'll use the word stuff that's going on in the business. It was consolidation of ownership. Fewer and fewer owners for more and more stations. And so what do owners do when they consolidate? And well, they try to find a way to cut costs. And the way you cut costs is by having one business office instead of a business office for each of those stations. And then it went to the traffic department, and then it's gone to engineering, and now it's going into the newsrooms, where there are several cities across the country which are now just being supported by one newsroom, even though it might be for more than one station. So you have an owner owning two stations in one market, and then they consolidate it all down to one news department. Whether you think that's good or bad, it is certainly up for debate, but that's just the way it's been going. So I'm J.R. Kurtek. I've been at ABC 12 for quite a while. When I'm not doing the weather on ABC 12, I enjoy spending time with my family, and my family is those guys right there. I have 5 kids. My wife and I have been married for about 38 years. She's that one. She's a radiologist. She's done quite a few things at quite a few places. She was the director of women's imaging for the Detroit Carmenis Cancer Institute. Then when they started to rip I-75 up, she said, "I can't do this." That drive was just pretty crazy. We have 5 kids. Tim right there, he's a pathologist. He works down at Parkland Memorial in Dallas. When he first started that job, I gave him an empty satchel and said, "Listen, if there's anything the public needs to know, fill it, and then I'll break it I'll break the news to the world." Parkland Memorial, of course, is where Kennedy was taken after he was shot. So he hasn't given me anything. And of course, now with the current administration saying, here's the Kennedy stuff, I don't think anything that he finds is going to be anything. My daughter is, that's Katie. She's my eldest daughter. She is a microbiologist geneticist for Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. They try to figure out how to do targeted cancer therapy. My youngest son, David, right there, and he's father of my current 2 grandsons, is the director of aquatics for Orient Township. My youngest daughter, Sarah, is the only one living at home with us right now. She's an aerospace engineer, works for Williams and International in Pontiac, and when she gets home from work, she cooks for my wife and I. So I'm not going to kick her out. No. Drew and his wife, actually, they live in Mott Park, and he runs the labs at Kettering University. All 5 are graduates of Holy Family School in Grand Blanc, and graduates of Powers Catholic High School. My wife was the director of the president of the school board at Powers when we made the move from Carpenter Road to the current location. So they're all nerds. But that's what you expect when you have a couple of parents who have ologists in the end of their career. I enjoy golf, and when I'm not golfing, we like to play with our chinchilla there, Dusty. I don't know if I can, I went by that pretty quick. Let's see if I can get back to her. That's Dusty. She's 20 years old. Yeah. If you ever, chinchillas, they're pretty cool. She's awake when I get home from work, so I like that. See, when used to be for years and years and years, I'd go to work and everyone was already gone, so I left an empty house. And then when I get home at night, everyone was sleeping. So Dusty was the only one who would be up, and I'd chat with her and all that sort of thing. So, okay, it's severe weather season. And a couple of things we like to talk about on ABC 12 during our weathercast is the Storm Prediction Center. What they give us every day is what we call a severe weather outlook. And some of us refer to the way it's titled across the top: a marginal risk, slight risk, enhanced risk, moderate risk, and high risk. It's also numerical, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll say right now we're under a slight risk. That's a 2 out of 5. Just to let people know what's happening. And down here it says, you know, the various things that can happen or potentially could happen. When we're looking for major outbreaks, then that risk is usually higher. And we or the Storm Prediction Center, they're out of Norman, Oklahoma. They issue this for 3 days in advance. So right now, if I go into work, there'll be a risk category for today, tomorrow, and then the following day. And then it gets updated as time goes on. But so we rarely get up to level 4, and I can't even remember since I've been working if we ever had a 5 category. Whenever we issue a watch, of course, that means that severe weather will be possible in the next several hours. We issue these several hours in advance so everybody has time to plan, and that's what a watch means. You plan for what will happen later in the day. A warning means there is active weather occurring, either by a spotter or indication by Doppler radar that there is something occurring. And we can tell now, just using radar alone, what kind of circulation is occurring within the thunderstorm. If there's hail there, how large the hail potentially is, and the potential for strong wind gusts as well. So when a watch is issued, that means plan. When a warning is issued, that means take action and get to your safe space in your house, right? Here's just a number of tornadoes per state per year. Michigan there, 13. And we sort of get them in clumps. We'll have a day or two where we'll get 3 or 4 at a time, and then most of the days we don't see any. Of course, east of the Rockies, 13. Really, it's just the states there in the Northeast that get fewer than we do. Part of our issue is Lake Michigan. When you get that hot, dry air coming up from the southwest, Tornado Alley in here, and then you get the cool, dry, or it's the hot moisture laden from the Gulf of Mexico. When that stuff comes up here and arcs toward us and to interact with the cold, dry air from the northwest, it gets modified by the lake. So we typically don't see as many active thunderstorms and tornadoes as other parts of the country, especially west and southwest of us. But doesn't mean that we don't get any. Of course, Gaylord had an F3 just a couple of years ago, and we'll get our fair share. Of course, last year we had one in February, and this year we've already had a couple across the state. But typically you can see that it's May into June, late April, May and June. Now, these numbers are skewed toward Tornado Alley because they get into their severe weather system earlier than we do. So they'll have March and April, and of course they get dozens of tornadoes a year. When our severe weather season kicks in, which is usually June into early July, the rest of the country is already starting to kind of get out of severe weather season, or at least tornado season. And by EF rating, EF0, EF1, EF2, those are the smaller ones. That's where the bulk of the tornadoes occur, and then the F4s, the F5s are much more rare. EF scale, it used to be F scale. It was what was called the Fujita scale. Dr. Fujita from the University of Chicago came up with it. But it's been enhanced now, so that's an EF instead of just F. So it's enhanced Fujita. But they just looked at and these are never forecast. These ratings are after a tornado's come and gone. Weather Service goes out there, looks at the damage. The damage, this significant, then gets assigned an EF rating. So if anyone ever saw the movie Twister, yeah, there's a line in there where the guy says, okay, it's happening, Joe. They're forecasting a 5. No, no one ever forecasts an anything. These are assigned after the fact. And the bigger the number, the more damage you get. So here's examples of damage, at EF0 in the upper left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, of course, will wipe a slab clean. Those are what we call below ground tornadoes. If an EF5 is headed in your way, the only way you survive is by being below ground. And the issue is where most of the EF5s occur in the tornado alley, they don't in general have basements with their homes. They have rock. And so people will build tornado shelters or incorporate a tornado shelter in their home when it's built. And I asked my son down in Dallas, so what are you guys doing? Oh, we're going to go on a cruise. You know, you could have spent that money on a tornado shelter for your home, but you still don't have. And now we just found out last week that they're going to have a baby, my third, and their first. So now they need to take care of this stuff. And it's my wife was looking at her phone. Years ago, we did some trip or something with all the kids, and then she tied all the phones to her phone so that she could keep track of where they were. She and I were having breakfast this morning at the Brothers in Burton. Yeah, good. Yeah, the lemon ricotta pancakes. She looked at her phone. She said, "Oh, Tim is at the airport." So he and his wife must be going on another cruise instead of spending money on a tornado shelter. So I'm gonna have to have a word with them. Okay, now here's an instance of a tornado going through a particular area, and what you see here is different levels of destruction with just one tornado. So you have EF4, EF5s right here, and then off to the right and toward the top there, you see much less damage, and that's typical. But a rating for a tornado will always be for the highest level of damage that occurs in any area. So this is an EF5 tornado, but it was just this small area here that had that complete damage, and then up here the damage occurred was much less severe. Again, the larger the number, the larger the tornado. So we start off with a 0, and then we go to a 1, and onward to a 2, and 3, 4, 5, and you can see they get much more well-defined, and they get much wider at the base as well. And it doesn't matter how big or small a tornado is, they can move fast or slow. It just depends on the weather system that is supporting the active weather. So there's an EF5, and we had, I think, a tornado last year that was more than 2 miles wide at the base. So, you know, it's hard to outrun something which would take you several minutes to move across in front of if it's moving in your general direction. The Grand Blanc tornado last February was an EF2. And there you see the damage, of course, along Dord Highway there, not too far away from the GM plant. That was the storage building that was just pretty much wiped out. This is the way it looked on Doppler radar at 112 when the tornado touched down right near Bicentennial Park. This is what we call Doppler velocity mode. I'll show this on the air when I break into programming. It shows circulation. One color shows movement away from the radar site, and then toward the radar site is the other color. And what we like to do is find that little block in the middle where the red meets green, and you can see a little circulation going on. This was a little bit later, about 10 minutes later. I can't see that from where I'm standing, but there's like a little hook echo right there with the tornadoes that made its way toward the downtown area. Dorn Highway back here, Bicentennial Park here, and this is where it's moving through downtown. Grand Blanc, this is what we call a correlation coefficient. But when we talk about it on the air, we just talk about debris ball. So if we can, if this will actually pick up shingles and wood and things that have been thrown into the air. The way the Doppler does that is that when it sends out a beam and it gets reflected back, because of the reflectivity, it changes with whatever it's hitting. We can tell that the particles that are being hit right here are not uniform. That's why you get the different colors. If it's all hail or all rain, it will all be a uniform color. But here, we have rain, we have hail, we have 2x4s, we have shingles, we have metal pieces of the roof that actually flew all the way from Dorn Highway into downtown Grand Blanc. And in fact, we found debris from this particular tornado all the way in western Lapeer County. This is a much more obvious case here on Doppler velocity of really significant rotation going on. And I identify that as an EF5 tornado. And this is in just reflectivity or standard radar here. There's that traditional hook echo you may have always heard about. So in those areas that get the larger tornadoes, they're more easily seen on radar. Here in Michigan, we get these EF0s and EF1s most of the time, which are small. They don't last very long. They kind of come and go. They do some damage, disappear. Well, they don't show up on the radar very well. So we're actually in a good location such that we don't get as bad damage as other places. But on the other hand, it's harder for us meteorologists to pick out the tornado on the radar because it's not as well defined. All right, here's some other things. And sometimes, you know, the Genesee County, you hear the sirens going, and we haven't had any watch issued, and we really don't even necessarily have had any weather going. And that's because sometimes the weather plays tricks on us and shows us things that look like tornadoes and look scary, but aren't. So this is a supercell thunderstorm here. We never see it like this because here in Michigan, the sky is always so hazy. We don't get a chance to see the beauty of what these things are when they're fully formed. So that's one thing. But underneath those things, when the storms collapse, it's called a microburst. There was damage in the Flushing area a couple of years ago from a microburst that occurred about 9 o'clock in the evening, did a lot of damage to roofs and things like that. But basically what this is a thunderstorm, which may be up at 40,000 feet, and it runs out of energy and it just collapses. And all of that moisture just falls out of it. And it just, in every direction, the winds get very strong and does damage. Here's a little more, it looks like an atom bomb going off, kind of. But this is all air and rain and hail rushing out, going in every direction. And that's one way we can tell it was a microburst is by looking at the damage. The trees may be in every direction, kind of like a tornado, but with straight line winds, for instance, that you get out of a squall line like this one here, the straight line winds will blow all the trees in the same direction. So again, that's when the Weather Service, they go out and they look at the damage that actually occurs to find out whether it was a tornado or what else it could have been, and if it was a tornado, how strong it was. So the squall lines here a lot of times have these really low hanging clouds out in front that look scary as all get out. But that's not a tornado. So you have to know where you are in relation to the storm. So if you're at home and you see something like this coming at you, you're going to be scared. And somebody's going to call the station or the cops or whatever and say, there's a tornado. Sirens might go off. And this is not a tornado. This might be associated with some pretty strong winds as they get going. But if you ever see anything like this and you haven't had any rain at your house yet, then it's not a tornado. Tornadoes always occur in the back flank of the storm after rain and thunder have occurred. But these things here are usually associated with what we call the gust front, the leading edge of the thunderstorm as they move in. So you'll get those even before any rain starts. Again, stuff that looks pretty darn scary. And quite frankly, if a storm is strong enough to do that and scare you, it's strong enough to do the other things. So yeah, take shelter. But you'll wanna keep an eye on it. This is something called a roll cloud, and this is really scary because they can get down close to the ground and they spin like this. It's like if you took a carpet and you rolled it, and it just does that down. So that thing is spinning as it's moving overhead. So yeah, that can be a little disconcerting, let's say. All right. And I would be remiss if I didn't say download our weather app to keep you safe. Okay, any questions about the severe weather? I just wanted to kind of gloss over because it's severe weather season, yeah. Uh-huh. Personally, well, I enjoy it. Well, I enjoy forecasting in Michigan because we get 4 seasons. Some are shorter than others, and some are too long. But yeah, I enjoy going through all the seasons. I would not be happy forecasting in Phoenix or Los Angeles or anything like that. I enjoy the 4 seasons. We also have the Great Lakes, which makes it very interesting as well. Other parts of the country have various other features, whether it be lakes or mountains or anything like that do impact local weather. So that's one of the reasons why this consolidation of meteorologists can be not the greatest thing as far as the safety to the local communities, because each area has its own specific characteristics and idiosyncrasies that would need to be taken into account.
You kind of just answered it. So like a week ago Sunday, most of us in this room were probably watching the basketball game and had that storm go through. Obviously it wasn't ABC 12, but it was local meteorologists saying, okay, you know, it's in Perry or Frankenmuth, wherever the storm is. If that's in Atlanta and they're trying to do local storm tracking down there, they don't know the area. That storm's going through Cleo, or a storm